Welcome to Moms with a Call. We're not here to preach, convert, or fix you. We're here to listen.
We're McKenzie
and Rebecca, two women with messy stories, honest questions, and a quiet hope that maybe Jesus looks a lot more like love than we were ever shown. If you've ever wondered if there's a place for you in all of this, there is. Come, have a seat at the table. You're safe here. You're welcome here. Let's begin.
But I go into surgery, and February 2nd, 2023, I count down 10, 9, 8, I'm out. And from that moment on to the moment I wake up, I had nonstop dreams. Vivid visions, maybe. They were all, I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you all, and we don't have time. I've written them all down. I've typed them all up. Probably 30 pages worth.
Wow.
But it was just what I experienced in this medically induced coma. And everything pretty much that I experienced was protective in nature. I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't having nightmares. It wasn't like, oh, I'm spiraling down some tunnel, I'm dying. It wasn't like that. Everything in these dreams was hope and peace-filled for the most part. So I remember the first dream being I'm sitting on a hospital bed in a hospital room. I mean, there's a window right by the bed, but it's dark outside. And my wife is there with me. She's sitting beside me on the bed. It's like we're almost sitting Indian style on the bed. And there's like a canopy, a covering over us. Like you go to the beach, put little awnings like that. And the weird thing, there was some kind of like mobile, like, you know, your kids build little mobiles at school, hanging down, and it had some little metal things on it. I don't understand the symbolic nature of that. But there's one of them in particular that I would look at, it made me feel peaceful. But during that time, we're under this cover, and I don't know what's going on, and Kelly's with me, but we're not really talking a whole lot. But I can remember feeling, I am so tired. And I just desperately wanted to go to sleep. But I don't know if it's her voice with me in the dream, if it's another voice saying to do everything you can to stay awake. And I do remember Kelly saying, I'll stay awake with you. We just can't go to sleep. So this went on for a couple of days because all these dreams were like segmented into days.
That reminds me of when Jesus was, he was going to pray the night before he got crucified, and he told his disciples to stay awake, and
Right.
they like couldn't
Right.
stay awake. And he's like, all I asked was for you to stay awake
Right.
for, sorry.
No, and there could be,
yeah.
that could be a very, very valid parallel. So for me, though, it was, we tried to do the chronology of it. We'll never figure it out. And I know my dreams for the most part in order, but I don't know if we can piece it together. But obviously, first couple of days of surgery, it wasn't good. So I'm fighting hard. I am tired. But her voice of the Lord was said, fight, keep fighting, keep fighting. So I did. And then the next thing that, and this is the one I think that I kind of hang my hat on as probably the most intense experience that I've ever had in my life, was the dreams would always shift. They last for a couple of days and they shift to somewhere different. But this next section of the dream, Kelly and I are traveling together to a nursing conference because she's gone to several nursing conferences out of state. I've gone to a few with her. We went to Calgary, Alberta, Canada back in 2019. Got to go to Banff National. Park.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. So we've always talked about we want to go back. That was great. So now we're going on another conference in Canada. But this time it's not beautiful. It's not pretty. All the dreams so far have been color. This dream was black and white until the end. Everything was gray. It was dreary. You could see outside it was like winter, snow, rain. We're in some city. And when we get there, her job is like sit at a table in this lobby and check people in. And I'm supposed to sit there with her and do that. And I remember sitting there in the dream at the table, and I'm like, honey, this sucks. This is not fun. I didn't come with you. It's like, stop. This is what I'm supposed to do. So I'm like, I gotta find something to do the next day. So, when the day is over, I don't remember like going to bed or whatever. It just, the next day starts.
Yeah.
So the next day starts. I'm coming down the stairs back to this lobby for day 2 of this ridiculously boring conference. But when I get downstairs in this lobby, it is absolutely jam-packed with people. We're talking about a enormous lobby. It is jam-packed with people. I mean, shoulder to shoulder. I didn't recognize anyone. I didn't see Kelly. I didn't see any of the other nurses that were there. I saw nobody. But it's wall to wall with people, and everybody is dressed in gray or dark clothing. Their heads are down like this. They're mumbling. They're walking around. If you've ever seen The Walking Dead, it's like the zombie horde. But they were muttering real words.
They weren't zombies.
They weren't zombies. They were real people. And I didn't recognize any of them. And they were just it was just dark. It was depressing. You could feel the weight in the room. And I remember standing there, and I'm not a tall guy, but I remember standing kind of like looking above them. I'm like, what is going on here? I don't like this. And then I noticed all across the wall, it was wall-to-wall TV sets. And they were all turned on, still black and white, but it was news footage of just the worst imaginable events. There's war, there's famine, there's murder, there's disease. And everywhere you look, there was something negative up there. So I'm in a room filled with absolute negativity and darkness. And nobody's happy.
It gives me chills.
And it's awful. And I said, I don't want to be here. I've got to get out of here. Because nothing in that room, I wanted to follow nothing in that room. I wasn't feeling any of that. I was feeling peace. I was feeling hope. I was like, I just want to have more fun at this conference. I don't want to do what these guys are doing. And so I began to look around desperately, a way to get out of that room. And I saw at the far end was a hallway. No door, just a hallway. And I saw light coming from it. I'm like, I'm going to go there. Because nobody else was going there. There seemed to be no other way to get out of that room.
And this wasn't like, I see the light and I'm gravitating towards it. You just felt like,
oh,
this
there's somewhere I need to get out of here.
But I knew
there's
that,
light over here and I don't want to be in here.
it was like, let's say you're in a dark room. Like you see that closet right there. You see the light in there. It was kind of like that. It's like, there's light. I'm going to go towards it because that's a way out. So I began to go, and the closer I got, that's when I began to hear music. And it was worship music. Music that you would worship with at church, whether you're someone who loves the hymns, you like the contemporary. It was songs that I knew well, songs that I really liked, songs that I enjoyed singing in church, and songs that made me feel, filled with the Spirit. And so I'm walking towards this, and the closer I got, the louder the music got. And I'm like, I am heading in the right direction. This is perfect. Had no idea where I was going. I just knew I needed to get out of that room. And the closer I got to the hallway and that music, the less oppressive the room felt to me. Even though I'm still surrounded by people, their bad vibes weren't rubbing off on me anymore. So I get to this hallway, and it's, 50 feet hallway, just plain white hallway. And I saw that it emptied out to another room. Nobody was walking down this hallway. Everybody stayed in that giant room, walking around like zombies.
Were you like, why aren't you guys coming, or you weren't talking?
You
to
weren't
them?
worried.
I didn't really care about that.
No,
I
you
was
wanted
just
to
ready to get out. So I began to walk down that hallway, and of course the music got louder and louder. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely going in the right direction. And so this hallway emptied out into a big room, just a giant white room. And right in the middle of the room was a doorway. It wasn't set against the wall. It was like a portal. And I remember it specific as a double doorway, arch, like wood beams. But though there's no doors on it, there's no hinges on it. And that's where the music was coming from. It was absolutely filled with people. And it was people singing and worshiping and just filled with joy and hope and purpose. And so they weren't looking at me. I saw their profile. They were all looking at someone beyond my vision. And it was just like, I walked up to it and this is great. But I didn't go in. I stopped. I stopped about 10 feet from the door. I remember just standing there, and sometimes I would close my eyes and just take it in. I don't remember even singing. I just remember just letting it wash over me. And it felt really good. And it was just normal looking people. It wasn't, there was no white robes, there was no wings, there was none of that stuff. It was just normal looking people. And so I'm standing there for a little bit of time, and I realized there's somebody standing beside me. And I didn't look and see a figure, but there's someone there. I'm acknowledging this person. He's acknowledging me because he's talking to me. But he doesn't talk to me incessantly, but on a consistent basis, and he pretty much says the same thing to me over and over again. He says, if you're ready to go in, you can go. But if you're not ready, I'll give you the strength to stay. So I'm looking into eternity. It's beautiful, but I'm not ready to go. Now, in dream world where I am, I don't know what's going on. I can't make sense of any of this. Why am I having these dreams? Why am I experiencing this? I don't know. But I knew that's where I was supposed to be in that moment. It wasn't like I feel out of place. This is where I'm supposed to be. And, this probably corresponds with that time. They're going to close my chest and do all that stuff. And Kelly never leaves my side. She knew I'd been fighting. And so, she probably had told me, I know she did, that, you fought really hard. I know you're tired. I'd love for you to fight harder, but if you can, it's okay. We're going to be okay. Not her exact words. Don't want to speak for her. But these are the words that I'm pretty sure this was Jesus that was telling me over and over again. And during those couple of days where I'm standing in front of that, sometimes the music got louder, sometimes it died down a little bit. When it got louder, I'd feel more energized, then I'd be okay, the music would soften. And then there was a couple of times I felt off balance. And I remember feeling the sensations in my dream. And now this part is in color. Once I left the hallway, everything was in color. I remember looking down and I'm being held. Somebody has scooped me up and is holding me during this point. Probably because what was going on in the real world with my body was so dire that I needed a little extra help. So we make it through a couple of days of that, and then it transitions, my dreams do, to some other things. Some of it I'm pretty sure was the effect of the narcotics I was on. There were some pretty crazy dreams that I can't make head or sense of. One of them, though, I thought was pretty important. And I won't get into all that. There's some funny stuff that happened too. Like I called the winning play for the Super Bowl, but that'll be another podcast another time.
Oh.
But while I'm in the ICU, I mean, there's a TV in each of those rooms, but my wife had never turned it on. What she had done, and this was amazing, is that she had gotten all these pictures developed, put them on poster boards, and put pictures all over the room of me and her, me and the kids, my dog. I mean, all this kind of stuff, things that I valued most, our friends. And whenever a provider, a caregiver would come in the room, she would say, before you touch him, I want you to look. And she would have these men and women go and look at the wall and say, this is who you're treating. Because I didn't look like the guy in those pictures. Okay, I was tubed up, everything. She goes, this is our life together and it's beautiful. And this is what we're fighting to come back to. And so there was so much positive energy in that room. There was so much. She played music for me constantly. So I have no doubt when I'm standing there at in eternity, I'm probably hearing the music she's playing.
Yeah.
And so it was all those things come together that just gave me the best scenario for recovering. But she did turn the TV on one time. Now she's having to bounce back and forth from being beside me into the ICU waiting room, which down the hall through double doors, down another hall around a corner, so nowhere near my bed. Because we had people coming that couldn't come back, and so, gosh, she had to be like this, this hostess, while she's also working, by the way,
Oh my gosh.
by my bedside on a computer. So she had to do all of these things. I don't know how in the world she did all that, but she decided that the night of the Super Bowl, it was where Philadelphia played Kansas City, so it was 2023. She turned it on. She said, Sterling loves football. He loves sports. I'm going to turn it on. So the next dream I remember is a Super Bowl dream. Me and Kelly and my older brother, who lives in New York, he was there. That's the only time he was in my dream. We are working as like waiters and hostesses at a Super Bowl party. There's this room filled with guests, these tables, we're serving, and there's a TV, because TVs were pretty prominent in my dreams. I don't know why. There's TV there, and it was on, the game was on. And I can remember my dream watching the game, serving, watching the game. I'm watching it. I saw every play. I saw the ending. I called the winning play at the end, by the way. I actually superimposed myself on the field, called the game. They won the game. I'm still waiting for Kansas City to give me royalties for winning the game. But they have not yet, so, they might get an attorney on that one. But after all that's over, my brother's not there anymore. It's just me and my wife. And there's this girl there. She looks to be, 19, blonde-haired. We have 4 kids. And so she resembles a lot the features of our youngest daughter. Because I used to be blonde-headed and I have blue eyes. Our first 3 kids got Kelly's traits for the most part. But Emmy, my youngest, bless her heart, looks just like me.
Oh, she's precious.
But she wants to outgrow it, and I do too, for her sake.
I'm sure she's beautiful.
She is. She's amazing. She's great. She's beautiful.
She's
beautiful
the
girl.
best.
But this girl looked kind of like her. And, she was serving the party with us too, but she didn't really talk much, but her presence felt normal. She was very kind, very grace-filled. And after the Super Bowl party was over, I kind of went back to, I guess, a place that was a little bit dark in the dream. Because I had several instances in dreams where think about like a dentist chair. It's kind of that kind of curved chair. I would be in a chair like that, but I couldn't move. Well, in reality, this was my bed, and I couldn't move because they had me tied down. But I'm in this bed, and I'm like in a corner of this room. I see where the party had been over there, but now I'm in this corner, and I am irritated. I've got something stuck between my teeth, like a big hard piece of plastic, rubber. And I remember in this dream, I was fighting it, I was biting it, I couldn't free my arms to get it out. And I remember just thrashing, just trying so hard to get this thing out of my mouth. And out of the blue, this blonde-headed girl walks over, and she like touched my shoulder, and she said, "Hey, listen, don't fight it. It's for your own good. Don't fight it." And so instantly I stopped fighting it. Turns out there was a day where I got really irritated with my intubation tube. They have a bite block, and I began to chew just as hard as I could. Began to try to gnash my teeth. I tried to bite a nurse and all that kind of stuff. They were like, "Okay, we're going to have to sedate him or something." And then suddenly I just stopped. So in between child number 2 and child number 3 for us, we got pregnant and miscarried about 12 weeks, and it was a girl. And I really believe that that girl in my dream was our daughter.
Because she would have been 19.
She would have been around 19.
Oh
and
my gosh.
She looked a little bit about, she has family features. And even the next set of dreams that I went, she was there with us. And she was just there. And it was just a presence there with us, which was really cool. And so there were some more dreams after that. Nothing as profound as standing at the entrance of eternity, but all these other dreams. I mean, I remember I saw a dream where I was in this waiting room. There's this newscast on, something about this business about a spy balloon we shot down over Myrtle Beach. And then there was this, again, there's no TVs near me.
Yeah.
And then there's awful commercial came on for this building supply company. We're bonded and insured, and it was like obnoxious. So you fast forward a couple weeks. I'm now in my recovery room, and my daughter Reynolds would call me up every day to check on me and let me know what happened in the world when I was asleep. She goes, "Oh, did you hear we shot down a spy balloon?" Which the only way I knew was my dream. I said, "Oh yeah." I said, I knew about that. How'd you know? And so I described my dream. I described what the anchorman looked like. I even said, and there was this obnoxious commercial. And so Kelly's like, "How did you know that?" The TV had been on in the waiting room when that story came on. And then she remembers the obnoxious commercial coming on. She eventually turned it off because it was annoying. I saw it perfectly in my dream, but I would have no way of seeing it because I was
And it wasn't in the room.
I was a different part of the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, stuff like that happened, which was kind of crazy. But the last part is when I'm the last couple of days, and I'm in and out of consciousness a little bit. I remember a good friend showing up and giving Kelly a break, and Scott showed up. And I remember seeing Scott come in, and I remember trying to talk to him. Nobody would talk back to me. It was really getting frustrating. But I'm innovative. I didn't know. I remember my brother being there quiet. I remember one time I woke up, my oldest brother was there, and I'm trying so hard. I mean, I'm totally lucid. I remember this completely. And I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Okay, I'm not understanding what you're saying." I'm like, "I'm speaking clearly." He goes, "Let me throw some letters out there. If this is the right letter, nod your head." I'm like, "Don't play games with me, boy."
You're like, I speak crystal clear.
This is frustrating. And then now I'm back asleep for days. But I'm starting to hear. I remember he and my brother and his wife were there. They were going to take Kelly. They were going to go out to eat somewhere. And I'm sitting there yelling from my room, "Hey, I want to go. Let me go." But I really wasn't yelling because But I remember these things. And so the last 3 days, I guess it was 3, maybe 4, I don't know. They're weaning me off all these medications. And the 3 different opioids I was coming off. So I was probably going through some form of detox. Plus, I've been pumping so much fluid. It's got to come out of you somewhere. So I remember I'm sitting in bed. I'm just sweating profusely. I felt like I had sweaters on and sweatpants. I was dying. I remember I got to get out of this bed, but I couldn't get out. And I remember looking around. I'm in a room and there's other beds. But I'm like, I got to get out of here. And one time I actually did get out of the bed. But I went and walked outside, and we were in some third world country like Mexico, like backwoods Mexico. Even though the hospital was very new in my dream, I walk outside, and there's a couple simple homes, dirt road here, dirt road there, and then there's what looks to be like a dirt airstrip. And on both sides of it are like banana trees. So I'm like, I'm on a banana plantation. Airplane's going to come, it's going to land, it's going to take me home. But I'm in a very hot environment. I assumed I called it Mexico. And for a couple of times in my dreams, I remember zooming out on a map and I'm looking at a line on the equator. I'm like, I'm in the middle of South America. Because I was so hot. I was so thirsty. And another time in a dream, I'm out again, and there's a bunch of neighborhood kids, and I have an old jam box. And I'm playing, I think it was Willie Nelson. These kids start dancing to it. And again, it's weird stuff. But the whole time I'm sweating. I'm so hot. Well, that was me detoxing. That was me getting all the meds out. So when I finally did wake up, that's why I said, I'm in Mexico. Where 1992 came from, I do not know. But it was after that, when I went to the step down unit, that's when I started sharing all of these dreams, and there's more. Started sharing them with Kelly. We started kind of piecing it together. And oddly enough, we had a chaplain, this really sweet woman came up to talk to me to say if I needed anything. And I actually asked for counseling. I said, I would love to speak to a therapist. I said, because I think I just went through a lot and it might hit me. I even asked to speak to a trauma therapist. And she came up and she said, well, I'm here as a resource. If you have a trigger, you know what to do. Here's my information. But this one chaplain came up and really nice. I didn't really need the she was great, but I was like, I'm good. I love Jesus. I'm fine. We're good. But she was so kind. And so I just mentioned a little bit about my experience. I had some dreams. She goes, well, tell me more. So I shared some of the dreams. She's like, this is fascinating. A couple of days later, she came back and she said, do you mind if I write some things down? Will you tell me some more about those dreams? So I said, okay. So I gave more detail. A few days later, she came back. It was a book or a notebook for me. And she goes, I want you to start writing your things down. I'm like, what are you getting at? She said, listen, I've been doing this hospital chaplaincy for a long time. And I've talked to many patients who have had a dream. I said, you had it for 2.5 weeks. I've never heard of that. You have to write this down. I don't know what it means, but it means something. You need to write it down so you don't forget. But I'm telling you all this stuff as if it happened yesterday. Yes, did I go home and type it up? When I got used to my hands, because it took me a while to be able to type, because I'm still, even after rehab, things were weak, couldn't text a little bit. It took me a while to type. So when I finally got able to do that, I documented as much as I could. But it was those connections of things. I'm sleeping through it all. So I'm not incredibly traumatized by a lot of my experience. And I really believe there are probably some things that have been withheld, probably for my good, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with not knowing everything. As I've recovered over the past 2.5 years and kind of tried to move on and move past the infection and the wire sticking out of me and all that stuff, obviously I'm in charge of my recovery. I can do that. I've always been most concerned about my family, though. I've been very concerned about Kelly, my kids. My son took it really hard. He saw some things in the hospital that he wasn't supposed to see, and it wasn't his fault. A careless caregiver came in and pulled the blanket back. He saw my chest. It was like, oh. And so that wasn't good for him.
How old were all your kids during this time?
So my oldest was a junior.
Like pro level.
No, she was senior. She was senior in college. The second oldest was a sophomore. Yeah, she's a sophomore in college. Our son was a sophomore in high school, and our youngest was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
And so they all got to, our oldest wasn't able to come. She's a teacher. So she was digging deep in that last semester, doing all her teaching stuff. So when I was in the ICU, she didn't come, but I'm like, it's fine. Kelly was like, you don't have to come, don't worry about it. The other kids did. When I did get to the rehab unit, I got to see all the kids when I was away. We got to celebrate birthdays with them there. And so that was really, really special. And then be able to come home. Our neighbors they installed railings on our stairs for us. We went months without having to buy food. They did all our meals. My aunt came in town and stayed with the kids for a month. It was just the total picture of it all. You can look at it several different ways. Obviously, it was a medical trauma that I went through. And the recovery is still ongoing. I'll never be the same. I'm never going to fully recover from that. There was a lot of psychological, emotional, and trauma that I know my family went through. And some of which I've experienced, but most of what they went through. And so really my main concern moving forward the rest of my life is that my family is healthy and good.
Yeah.
So, which is why, I'm laying it all out right here, but I haven't done it very often. Shared it at a couple of churches, but it's one of those things, I want them to be okay with it. I can tell you all this stuff and I can say I'm fine. I don't want anything that's going to have them relive some of the stuff I went through. But another piece is the community that we had surrounding us. Kelly was never alone. We never had need. We never had want. People were so kind and good and gracious to us during that. And so just to have that community, and we're not talking about just a church community. We have lots of neighbors that we love dearly, and most of them, they're not really church people, but they stepped up. You read the book of Acts chapter 2, they were Acts chapter 2 people. And they, to this day, if we had any need, they would be there at the drop of a hat. So we experienced the miraculous, right? With the healing. And I'll add one more thing here when I finish this part. But we also experience just what community looks like and just how desperately we need each other in this world. You know, last June, right about this time, we traveled back to Wake Forest Hospital. And Kelly and I were invited to speak at a cardiac symposium, an all-day event. And Dr. Khan, our surgeon, was going to share my case first thing in the morning. Then Kelly and I would get up and kind of share, not the dreams and the visions parts, because this was a medical conference, but just our hospital experience. And we were going to push for advocacy, you know, like we mentioned earlier. But we were going to keep it totally positive. You know, were there some medical providers we didn't care for? Of course there were. But we weren't going to throw them under the bus. It was fine. You know, we survived. We're moving on. So Neil, Dr. Khan, presents my case. She's like, I've never seen anything like it before, kind of with some of the details. And we get up and share for about 45 minutes. Kelly had done this absolutely amazing presentation, the pictures, all this stuff, kept it tasteful. You know, we don't share pictures of me, or we don't do that. So just because that's important to move beyond
private
that. It's private too. But so she showed all this stuff, and then afterwards, you know, taking a break, people are like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was a beautiful moment. We got to share that. And then Dr. Khan said, hey, I got to go back to the main hospital. I got a case that I'm going to cover. He said, but I just got a new Cybertruck. You want to see it? I'm like, yeah. So I'm walking out of the parking lot with him to see his new Cybertruck. Before we get out the door, he stops me. And he said, I know that you and your family, but I know that you are a strong man of faith. So I'm going to tell you something. I did everything medically that I knew how to do, and I had nothing else that I knew how to do for you. The only reason you're standing here is by divine intervention, because I couldn't fix you. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome.
And that probably took a lot of humility for him to say that.
Absolutely.
It probably did. I mean, he did some interventions like finding the allergy to heparin,
Right.
holding off other medical care teams, don't touch him. I mean, God gave him a sense of what he needed to do. So he was absolutely integral into that survival. But I think once they closed my chest, the only way he's going to survive this is if God does something.
Yeah.
And God's like, I've been doing something, and I'm going to keep doing it. And
So
he did.
during the surgery that you had, that you were under cardiac arrest multiple times, did you actually die?
I'm not sure. I don't know how long the episodes were. Intervention was immediate. You know, and really, I mean, if you go into cardiac arrest, you can be in arrest for several minutes and still fully recover. If the correct intervention is done. So, I mean, there's clinical death and there's biological death. Biological death is you're dead. Clinical death is, oh yeah, your heart stopped beating, but we got you back.
Gotcha.
I've never really asked in detail.
Yeah.
Probably okay not knowing. I'm assuming that it was brief periods of time. You know, and again, sometimes it was lethal rhythms that didn't necessarily put me into arrest, but would have had they not. There are certain rhythms that you never see happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's got this rhythm. But they did intervention right away. I had an amazing care team. So I don't remember if there was any segments that happened when I was dreaming.
You don't remember.
Maybe it was during that first couple days when I'm in that protective covering, struggling to stay awake. Maybe that's what that meant. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think for us, the experience is powerful. And we've tried to fit it together in a chronological way. I think that's impossible for us because I remember all the dreams, but do I have them in the correct order? I don't know. The first few I do, but after that, it's kind of sketchy because they got some of them kind of bizarre. But I don't know. There was just, you know, being, I guess you could say I was in the spirit world, right? But what you experienced then and what you see and whatever, it's very detached from where we're living right now, yet it's just as real, just as palpable.
Absolutely.
You know, you experience it. It's not, I haven't had somebody ask me one time, well, you know, you went to seminary, you got a master's degree in theology, you've studied all this stuff, so you probably didn't really dream it. You were probably just hallucinating it. I said, you know what, that is absolutely possible. I said, but we'll tell you this, nothing that I saw matched up with what I studied in Scripture. There were no streets of gold. There were no angels with wings. That's not, and by the way, angels don't have wings. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I agree. I believe the same thing.
Oh, this is going to have to be another series or another episode.
We can do a theology podcast. But I mean, it was so radically different than I think what you learn growing up in church and all this stuff. I mean, yes, Revelation gives us a great picture of the earth realm now fully redeemed and restored, the New Jerusalem, which we refer to as heaven, coming down and joining, and this is where we are for all eternity, which is a beautiful picture. I just caught a glimpse. I saw an entrance. What was beyond that, I couldn't tell you. I'm pretty sure that everybody that was looking, they were looking at the King on his throne. They were looking at the Lamb.
Beautiful.
I'm almost positive they were. And there will come a day when it is my time. And I'm pretty sure I will see that exact same portal.
Entrance. Yeah.
And I will go running in. I'll dive in head first.
Oh, my
but in the
gosh.
meantime, that wasn't, I don't remember saying I'm not ready. Just wasn't ready. I come out a few months later, watch my oldest daughter graduate. I'm on the microphone calling the games at my youngest daughter's lacrosse games. My son comes home from youth camp last summer on fire for Jesus. I'm there. We're having these conversations. So, this world is an absolutely beautiful place. I know there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of stuff, but there's so much for us to enjoy and do and be a part of.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned a minute ago, God is going to fully redeem where we are now. It's going to be Eden all over again. And we still have a taste of it right now. So I can't wait for eternity. But at the same time, if you know Jesus, you're already living it, right?
Oh,
You're already living it. This is where we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when all this was happening with Sterling, we knew Kelly texted us that they were going to the hospital. She kind of gave us updates. She had a lot going on, so we didn't really fully know what he was going through and what she was going through. And I was probably a month into my faith.
oh
Like
my
newfound
goodness.
faith.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there rocking Tate one night. This is after Sterling had been to rehab and everything. Again, we didn't know the full story. And I'm rocking Tate. And in the beginning of my new faith, I had such doubt. Like, that was just such a struggle for me. And I remember praying, I was like, God, I'm doubtful. Like, I'm skeptical. Help me through this. I come out of the room and he texted us. Me, Kelly, Sterling, and Ross have a group chat, and he's like, hey, can we come over tomorrow night and have dinner? We haven't seen you. We want to share some things, and I'm trying not to cry. And we were like, yeah. And so they came over, they had dinner. He told us this story, and we're like bawling because we didn't know. And I was like, not to make this about me at all, but I was like, I just prayed because I was so doubtful and so skeptical. And it was like, there you are. And ever since you told me that, I was like, I've never, ever had a single doubt since then.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
He has a purpose
Story.
for being here,
Oh my gosh,
for sure.
absolutely.
And it's
so clear.
even the small things, like you're saying, like the little things are so profound and purposeful, but your story is, I have no
Yeah.
words.
And it's really, I know it's my story, but it's really God's story.
Yeah.
And one more thing I'll add, you talk about the purpose. And again, I don't have this, I don't want to like write this big book and do all, to me, it's like, I'm not going to pimp out my God. Okay. If people want to know the story, I'll tell it. If there's a way to put it out there for the masses, then that's fine, but it's not going to be about me.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be about the bigger picture. But it was, I guess we've been home for about a week, and then you have to go back for a follow-up. So we go back to Winston for a day, do a follow-up appointment with the surgeon. And before we left the hospital, I told Kelly, I said, why don't we swing by the ICU unit? Because they had they took care of me for 2.5 weeks. They became like family to Kelly. They protected her. They fought with her. It was amazing. Just an amazing group of people. I never got a chance to meet them. I wake up, suddenly there's a room full of people. Hey, how you doing? They whisk me away to their room. So I'm hearing all these names of all these people. I'm like, I'd like to go meet them. And so we got done with my appointment, and then we went down to another section, went on the floor, and there we are. And there was most of the team that had treated me was there, and they were like, it was a very powerful moment. It was like, oh my gosh, you're alive. And, we got a chance to catch up, take some really cool pictures with them, and kind of share some stories. And, I'm sure it was a very heavy place for Kelly to be, because I'd been up there not long before. There's the room I was in that I probably wasn't supposed to leave. And it's filled with people still, people that are critically ill. And so we said our goodbyes and gave everybody hugs. We start to get on the elevator, and this other family walks on. It was kind of an older woman, her daughter, and then her son-in-law. And they get on the elevator with us, and we just kind of chase just pleasantries, but we don't really talk that much, And so we We go down to the bottom floor, the elevator doors open up, we get out, and before we can walk down the hall, the lady says, excuse me, can I ask you guys a question? And we stop and I'm like, sure. She goes, did I hear you talking upstairs? You were a patient on that floor. And I said, yes, ma'am, I was. And I did not get into any detail, really. I said, but I had a pretty serious open heart procedure several weeks back, and they took amazing care of me, and, I went home. Mm-hmm. She started to tear up a little bit, and she said, well, my husband got admitted here yesterday. He's had I think a major heart attack. He had heart surgery. He's not doing well. The prognosis is not good. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to do. And so I think for Kelly and I, something just clicked in right at that moment. Kelly started to speak words of comfort to her and advice. He was like, hey, listen, not if he gets better, but when he gets better. Mm-hmm. Here's what you need to expect. Because she lived with it with me a couple of times. She gave us some good advice, gave some good encouragement. We're like, hey, can we pray for you guys? We prayed for him right there in the hallway, and then said our goodbyes and walked out to the parking deck. And I told Kelly later, I said, that right there might be the reason I had this surgery. Mm-hmm. And if God wants to give us those opportunities like that, we'll take them.
Yes.
And we'll do it to the best of our ability. Mm-hmm. But again, it's still, we're human, and you have to be cognizant of the fact that there's still healing going on well beyond the physical. So I would never, I'm going to reiterate this again, I would never want to do anything that would compromise the mental integrity of anyone in my family by trying to make more of this. Now I realize, saying all this, the millions of people who are going to subscribe to this podcast and listen, it's going to go, and when you guys monetize, please remember me, okay? But that's how you got started. It was this one right here. But it's not a decision that I feel like I need to make. Mm-hmm. It's a decision if God wants to do it. And Kelly asked me, he goes, hey, I want to hear your story. Are you okay with it? I said, yeah. I said, are you? That's my bigger thing. Are you okay with it?
I know, that's why I kept looking over here like multiple times, make sure she was okay.
Oh, she's a rock star.
She is.
Yeah, she's absolutely amazing.
But that's like a traumatic experience for her and your family as well. So I totally understand your headspace with that.
Yeah. Gosh, it's just incredible hearing it. Obviously, you've heard it before. I'm sure it doesn't get easier to hear it multiple times. And it's just, I think I said, wow, I'm going to have to go back and count the number of wows I said in that, because it's absolutely incredible.
Like take a shot every time you say wow.
Right? I know, and I'll be passed out. But I think that what I'm in such awe of is how strong both of your faith was throughout this time. And I think so many people, I don't know if I would have been that faithful going through that. And even the in-betweens from when you were 26 to when you're going through all this, how did you keep such a steady faith?
I was serving and working for almost all my life in a ministry context, was at a church, teaching at a Christian school. And I'll be totally transparent and honest, my faith wasn't always that strong. I went through this whole period working in churches for so many years, and I said, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Got out, started teaching. And there's still a cynical veneer over me about church work. And it's not because churches are bad, they're not, but I had certain experiences that kind of changed things for me. But, being able to step away from that like I did for the past 8 or 9 years and seeing it, it's the same Jesus. Mm-hmm. It's the same truth. Mm-hmm. We can institutionalize stuff all we want. And I think a lot of times institutionalization waters it down. Mm-hmm. It makes it a lot more benign than it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. It's a functional faith, but it's not a living faith.
Yeah.
And I don't think you really know what your faith is like until you actually have to live it. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't think that has to happen with everybody. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to happen with everybody. But at some point, most people are going to go through some kind of a crisis. Mm-hmm. And it's the foundation of your faith, and how it causes you to live and perceive the world around you. Your faith should shape your worldview. It's not behavior modification, like you can't do this, can't do that. No, it's how you step forward every day and say, this happens because I know that we have a sovereign God who allows that to happen. And so that helps you walk into any situation knowing that, I got decisions to make, but it's not really about me. I'm going to do my best, but at the end of the day, if he wants it, to God be the glory. If he doesn't, his will be done. And so you just have to, you live your life. And it's not like something you consciously say every day. You just have to figure out how to live in that reality. And I'm not always very good at that. I worry more about things than I should. I worry about things that really aren't important. You know, when it comes to my health, I'm like, whatever. But like, it's like, we got bills, dude. It's like, it's $50. What's the big deal? You know, I worry about those trivial things more so. And I think that's just the weakness in me. And we all have those weaknesses. But at the end of the day, you're either standing on truth or you're not. And that truth is bound up in your faith. And if you cultivate it, if it really defines who you are, again, not what people see. It's not, you're not walking around with a shroud around you, you know, feeding orphans on every street corner. It's really the reality is of just how you live your life and if it dictates your choices, your worldview. And I think we just found ourselves at a space where, yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't, I mean, it was, when this happened, the first thing we did together was pray. You know, we went to the Lord first because it's like, we have no hope apart from that. And that's totally what sustained her in the midst of the chaos. And, you know, except she entertained people in the lobby. She had to do all this stuff. And she had no alone time. And there she is watching me, and I can't talk back to her, which is probably the first time in our marriage. It was like, okay, you can't talk back. It's not a bad thing. You know, I can say whatever I want. You can't say anything back to me. But that's a long, drawn-out answer. It's just...
But it's a beautiful answer.
But you just live it. And it's not like, oh, faith kicks in when you need it. No, faith is always there. It's just, it sustains you at times more so than at other times. I mean, it always sustains you. But then it kind of gives you that little extra boost. You're like, okay, I'm still squarely in the center. I mean, the week before I had all my heart stuff, when I had nothing going on, I was still squarely in the center of who Christ is in that moment, as I was when, oh no, he's got to have surgery. Nothing changed with him. Our perception, our attachments are what changes. Never did. So when you realize you're always standing on that rock, whether it's good or bad, nothing really shifts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's always a constant.
Oh, well, do you want to ask our final question?
Yes. So we're going to put you on the spot. It's might be an easy question. It might not. But our season 1 word is surrender. So we ask every guest, what does the word surrender mean to you? I know. Put you on the spot.
No.
It's such a complex question, too. So take your time.
We actually talked about this when I was recovering in the hospital still, and what it meant to be in that moment where absolutely everything is beyond our control. I didn't, we might have called it surrender. I mean, we talked about the concept, but I guess I would say that surrender could be where you have cast yourself with reckless abandon upon the Lord because there's absolutely nothing that you can do that's going to help your situation. It's all about him. And so it's that reality of like, I've got to do my part, but with reckless abandon, I trust him and not with the rest, but with all of it. And it's like a reckless abandon for me.
I love that.
I love that too.
That's great.
Gosh. Oh, well, Sterling, thank you so much for coming on and telling your story. And I hope that this reaches, I know it will. God will take this where he wants and he will reach the people who this is intended for. But I just cannot thank you enough for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me. And thanks for tolerating my very long-winded discussion.
No,
I think I could talk for another couple hours. I was like trying to hold my questions back. All right. Well, normally we cheers, but I don't have a little drink, so cheers. All right, perfect.
Thank you, Sterling.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thanks for being here with us today. If something resonated, maybe a sentence, a silence, or a story, hold on to that. If you felt seen or stirred or simply curious, we hope you'll join us again. Until then, stay open, stay tender, and remember, there's always a seat for you at the table.